Hi guys, welcome back to Mums and Melanin. I'm Debbie.
I'm Ayola. I'm Takumba.
I'm Takoni.
And today we're going to be talking about whether the environment your children are raised in has an impact on how they are in society.
I'm torn on this only because I think about the external factors and internal factors. So external factors being school, the environment they live in, friends, and internal factors being their character traits, upbringing, family, like home life, basically. And I'm torn because I kind of think whether a child, like a good child, whether they could excel and continue to be this good child in an area that's rough, a bit, maybe even less, I don't know, not privileged, what's the word?
Some areas are.
Yeah, like less privileged, basically. And I wonder if, like, what do you guys think in terms of like how that affects the child? Do you feel like the child
me personally, I feel like, okay, if you're a good child in a rough area, so what? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why would
that influences?
I don't feel like, for me, I guess, in answer to the initial question, what home's in for me, charity begins at home. So if you know that your child is a good child and you're raising them correctly, then they can go out. Obviously, there's cases where they'll go out and they'll meet other people and then they may, fall into a rough crowd. But for me personally, I do believe that children or people make their own decisions. So if your child is good and they choose to stay good, then they're going to stay good. But if your child meets friends and they see that if they want to do it, they're going to do it.
I disagree.
What?
I definitely think there's an impact. Yeah, I think there's an impact. Like, we know friends influence. I mean, people can be like from young, like straight and narrow, my book. All it takes is you to meet a few friends and that, do you know what I mean? You don't get along, maybe you bond over something and they start swaying you from your book. Your parents' voice become less important.
But it's because you want to. You're making the conscious decision to do that. Because you want to.
No,
if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. I don't understand.
There's people, for instance, now, there's a boy I know that smoking, he was not interested. When I mean, that everyone's trying out smoking, year 7, year 8, year 9, whatever. We're in college, smoking, he's not interested, not interested. But he had friends that were heavy smokers, like they were on this kind of gang life, do you know what I mean? And he wasn't on it. Like his mum didn't let him wear jogging bottoms. He had to wear jeans. You know, we're playing outside, he's in Mackenzie jeans from JD Sports because his mum didn't want him to go down. She thought that it was synonymous. Obviously it's not, but I understand her. Do you know what I mean? She wanted him to know that he was set for this life. She was sent him to school off ends. She really did enough. But he's even worse than most of them. Do you know what I mean? So they were his friends. And he was set up to not be on that path, but slowly,
he went there anyway.
what his mum told him, it eroded with time. You know that it wears on you. Do you know what I mean? It just eroded. Before people started smoking weed, 13, 14, they phased out of it. He started at 18. Do you know what I mean? And he's still in that life, dealing drugs, doing all of that. Because it wore down on him. Do you know what I mean? The hood got to him. Do you know what I mean? His mum tried, but he still gobbled him up.
But do you feel like these issues are not in affluent areas? So areas, when I say affluent areas, I mean areas that are occupied by,
Middle class, upper class.
Less gang culture, less crime.
Exactly. Do you feel like these things don't exist?
I think they've got their own problems though.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? They've got their own problems.
I agree. And I think environment plays a very big part on everybody. I think we have to remember, if we're talking about children and school, you have to remember the way you think as a child. It's not the same way you think as an adult. So sometimes looking at my conscious decisions, my non-conscious decisions, it's just not how you think as a child. When you're in a secondary school or whatever, you just want to be in, you want to have friends, you know what I mean? You want to be able to get on with everybody. Nobody wants to be the loner or the one that eats by themselves, has no one to really partner with. That's just normal, regardless of your, I'm not even talking about your self-confidence or anything like that. I'm just like, normally, it's healthy. Even when your child starts in new school, if you made friends, it's a normal thing, it's a good thing to have people to talk to, socialise with, all the rest of it. So I think if we're talking about children, I do think like 1000% your environment matters. Like, even if you're in an environment where, I don't know, the town or whatever has a lot of gang violence and gangsters and whatever else everywhere, or just bad influence generally everywhere, and they're obviously going to be a lot in the school if there's a high percentage of them in the town that you live in, right?
Yes.
So normally, of course, naturally, if majority of people are doing something, unless there's now a good amount that's not doing it, somehow you'll find yourself in the middle. there is a point where you have to kind of make a choice, yes. But let's be honest, there's some things that we've all done in secondary school that you're not going to come home and tell your mum that you did. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you became a bad person or someone who's committing crime. But there's some things that you kind of do to, you're curious maybe.
I get that. Sorry. Sorry. Finish your point.
You're curious. Maybe you're curious. You want to try it out, or even just because everybody's doing this, you might just decide that I may not even do it, but I'm going to chill with you guys. I'm going to stay out late and just chill with you because this is the cool place to chill. I'm not going to smoke it, but I'm going to be in that environment. Your environment, of course, it has an impact on you. Like, and I think that's with everything. It doesn't have to be the example of a bad, a bad school or whatever. If you're in a great school where everyone always dresses well and the way you come across, the way you speak is so important. Naturally, even at work, I think sometimes if you're around people that speak really eloquently, you think, I want to kind of really sharpen my speech. Why? Because you're influenced by your environment. It's natural.
Yeah. I do agree. I do very much agree with what you're saying. But what comes to my mind is
how far you go.
Not even that. So yes, I fully understand that. As a child, as a teenager, even as an adult, you're gonna you may do things to, just to fit in or just to conform. It's not necessarily something you're gonna do for a long time. Like you said, some people were smoking weed 13, 14, 15. They grew out of it. Some people tried it, you kind of know it's not for you, but you've done it just to say, I remember that time I was smoking weed. But it's something that you do. It's a story that you have. But it's not your future path. It's not really something you're gonna do. So I don't disbelieve that things like this can happen, but I also do believe that the values and the morals that are installed in you from your parents in your home 100%. Is what will carry you, is what will let you know that as much as I believe that you can go out with your friends and you make the decision to say, everyone's smoking, I'm not going to smoke with you, because the values and the morals that's been installed in you at home and it carries you. I do feel like, okay, you're out, you're going to chill, you want to be part of the in crowd, you do all of that. But, okay, if somebody's sniffing something, you're not going to be like, oh, you know what? Everyone's doing what I need to do. No, because you know that actually my parents told me that this is bad. My parents showed me that. And I get what you said, but over time, it may erode. But also, the characteristic of your child, the traits that they have, If you know that there's you have a child that's very sure of themselves, sometimes I would say, Amara's really stubborn, but actually that stubbornness is what will carry you. Yeah. So you're still chilling with them, but you just know that you're not making the decisions that they're making. And for me, although externally you're getting the pressures, because peer pressures is a real thing, let's be honest. The values and again, the values and morals that you've learned within your home, your internal, will outweigh that. Yeah. Maybe I'm being hopeful, but that's my belief.
I agree with you. I think it's a balance. I do think it's a balance. I think anything in life that doesn't have a balance, you're going to run the risk of one being tipped over, one being a louder voice than the other. So I definitely think a consistent voice from home. It can't be that you train me like this from young, but then you just slowly stop repeating it or slowly stop making it, I don't know, something that I can, something that's, what's the word? That kind of...
repetitive.
It's relevant to me at this age. That's what So obviously, if you're someone that when they're younger, it was like, don't do this, it's bad gang. Realistically, in secondary school, you're telling me that it's not going to move me by just saying, it's bad people, it's bad this. Because the way I view it is different. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes people start viewing some things as cool. So it's like I have to show you a new reality to why this is not okay. It's not, and that's the home side of things. Do you know what I mean? You're constantly reiterating the whys, rather, because when you're younger, it's just they're bad. Don't do this. It's a bad word. There's not really the why. It's just the instruction. Later on, because you're older and you're able to now reason, it has to be, this is why you shouldn't do this. People that have done this, these are consequences of this. So it's all balanced.
I think that's the reason why I kind of think that. Even though I'm torn, I'm more leaning towards the fact that no matter where you bring up a child, the home, it starts at home.
No, it starts at home.
It definitely begins at home.
But then the worry is the teenagers growing up. Even if you're in an affluent area, like I said before, there could be issues. They've got their own issues. They've got their own problems. So it's literally what the home life looks like, and security, and just so many different things. And it's sad when you think back, some families don't have money, for example, but live in say a decent area, council, whatever, I don't know. But you kind of worry about those type of families, because what does this child think that they need? So the latest trainers, can they? And then they end up following bad gang.
Yeah.
Because they can get trainers, because they can get money, they can make money selling, doing whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, I feel like
It's hard because you can still, but you
Yeah.
can still instill those good values into the child. But because of other factors, they still
You can
go
have
into...
siblings. They have the same message.
Yeah.
One is
It's true.
Every child is different.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you have to take each child as an individual and
100%.
and do things based on how that child is. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I feel that my child is a bit, regardless how much I try and charge them and make them, you know, kind of self-confident and rest of it, if I feel like they're very moved by the lack of something, in all honesty, I would have to review that. I'm not gonna just ignore it if I know that child is that child. Because some kids are just, you just have, regardless how much I'm me, I know.
But how do you
I
know?
know that I am moved.
How do you know? How do you know that? What type of signs do you need to look for to know whether your child is moved or not?
I think if you
Because every child says they want the newest trainers or the newest shoes or newest bags or whatever.
What happens after you say no? So are they now deciding to try and go and steal? Are they?
You would never know.
No.
Would you know?
At a young age.
It's little.
No, I'm talking about,
things.
let's talk about secondary school. Would you know?
You know if you see them with a new trainer.
Yeah, there's things at home that want to pick up.
Yeah.
Worse.
Yeah.
Little things that's going to
things like
make
that.
you realise this
Things
child
like that
is not
a
going to be willing to go without. So what am I now going to do about that? Exactly.
But what can you do about that?
Sometimes a stubborn and confident child,
But what
whilst
can
it's a good
you
thing
do?
for bullying, it may also mean because they're so stubborn and confident, they're like, I'm going to go to wherever it is and nick
No one
something so
can
that...
tell me nothing.
But
No one can tell me nothing.
what can a parent do in that situation where you're already working 3 jobs, let's say, you can't afford it? So many families are like that.
It's true.
And,
But I think maybe the kind of school I send you to, maybe even the area. But I'm so sorry. My kid's life is very, very important to me. Your future, how you live your life, what you do. If it means I have to move to somewhere that all they really wear is something, they don't care about kickers.
But where is that?
It.
Where is that?
No,
In this
there
day
are
and age,
places.
where
No,
is
there are.
that?
I know a guy. I won't say his name because he knows he might watch channel one day. But he got moved from our school where kickers, night bag, all that stuff was the thing, and he moved to a very, very school of different culture and different way. And they really just weren't about that. Like it wasn't about that. Yes, there was more other things. I think they're probably more into like sniffing and stuff. Maybe.
Exactly, they got other problems, other
But
issues.
she
right?
was. I like to believe that he was just not that kind of person that would ever do that. He just would never. He would never do that. So I think in that environment, the pressure of looking cool and all the rest of it
was no longer it.
was taken away. So then, if you know your child's strength, then like with me, I would never ever touch drugs. Don't matter if you people want to leave me. I genuinely don't care. Like I will start my own crew, and you're gonna be jealous. That's me. Like please, like do you know what I mean? So I know that stuff I'll never fall in. So I'd expect that if I have a weakness that you feel is a weakness as a child, I would expect that the parent tries to pick up on, help me on that weakness, as opposed to being concerned on areas that I'm actually strong.
But then some parents don't have the option.
Yeah.
Like, you watch all these films.
There's so
And it's
many.
like, the child is falling into gang. Family, don't you pick up your bags and move? But it's not easy
not easy like that.
And the point I was going to make earlier
It isn't easy.
is with our parents, I guess that communication as well needs to be open. So now, as parents now, we're able to be like, okay, we've lived the life. It wasn't that long ago that we were in your shoes. You know what I mean? So we can relate to our children and relate to them. And where you said you'd have to have a discussion with them and say, okay, this is the reason why I'm telling you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. This is the result of it. I actually know someone that's been through it. This is where they are now. You don't want this for yourself. You can have that conversation and you can actually bring facts to back it up. Whereas when our parents were telling us, don't join bad gang. Why? Oh, bad gang, you end up in jail. But where's the proof of it? Do you know what I'm saying? Parents say stuff to scare you. Like, where's the actual proof? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that disconnect.
In that day and age, that fear that my dad put in me is what
How did he put the fear in you?
Because I'll be in Nigeria, I won't be on Melanin today. And there's nothing wrong with being in Nigeria, but I know my dad. Like it wasn't a story. Like so my dad was of the belief, right, that education is better than Nigeria, full stop. So because he was of that belief, it wasn't. You don't have to slip up. He genuinely wants you to go
do it anyway
and get good training, and he just felt like you pick up good life skills there and all the rest of it. So there was a particular boarding school he was very interested in. I went on some holiday to go see that school. Like it was very real to me. So it wasn't a threat. And because I'm the kind of person, I think growing up, like if it's not real, I'll call your bluff. Like, this is a story. Like, so I think maybe they knew that about me. Maybe that's why my dad said, "We're gonna go. You're gonna see the building." I did the exams there. But
You did the exam.
Entry exam. What do you mean? They showed me the uniform. I was shaking in my boots. Like, what? Can this be my life? And the truth is, because I had that fear factor, I'm not going. I'm not coming.
But do you know what's funny?
Don't bring nothing in me. I'm not interested.
I think our generation, I don't know if you guys had the same in school. Loads of people went back to Nigeria.
babes.
Loads of people went back to Ghana. Loads of people actually went back.
This is the thing. So I do think the fear factor in some instances is important. There has to be something that kind of makes you feel, I really don't want to do this. It can't always just be because of how your parents feel, because sometimes in the moment they might not remember how mum and dad feels when they
100%.
quickly want to just go with their friends and knock
the thriller or doing whatever.
Impulsive moments. Remember, we're talking about people that are young and impulsive.
But that's what I said. Like, I'm not. I expect your child. Well, I expect children to do things, like to try things, to be curious, to want to like see. Oh, what does that feel like? Okay, but it's the knowing that this is not my day to day.
Even a curiosity.
Do you know what I mean?
Curiosity is even scary because you try it. What if you like it? What if it becomes a habit?
That's it. You're not wrong.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think there's a
With
black and
everything,
white guy.
there's a pro and con. Even getting sent to Nigeria, there's people that will go to Nigeria
And
they're
worse.
worse.
Yeah.
They're worse.
Scary
And this is the
worse.
thing. This is why you need to. It's sad because, like you guys have already said, not everyone is in a fortunate position to be able to change the reality for their child for the best. Not everyone can move. Not everyone can take their child to Nigeria or take their child to Nigeria and be in Nigeria. Because some people send their kids, but they're not
And
there.
they don't go, yeah.
And that's all they needed to really kind of, you know what I mean, build on this crime life. Because let's be honest, there's criminals everywhere. Different types of crimes, but there's criminals everywhere. Do you know
So
what I mean?
I have a question now, a scenario. Let's flip it now.
Sorry, just
done.
before you say that, prayer. I'm so sorry, guys. You have to pray. You can't be everywhere with your child. I'm a believer, and I'm very firm in the fact that because I can't be everywhere with you, I have to send God Himself
Send the Holy
to
Spirit.
cover you where you are, to give you discernment. Because at the end of the day, you can't be everywhere, and you won't know everything. Do you know what I mean? Like you may change environment, but they still know they can still go and meet up with the person in Elephant Castle, even though they're living in Hertfordshire. So maybe it's just a train. It's just a train.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? If your child is good, I know you're saying that like, how come the good doesn't spread quickly? But I mean, with everything,
Bad manners come up with
they always spread quicker.
But then
I remember.
I think they do, but you know that there can be some young people that we're talking about teaching in terms of what we teach our children. What about just the home environment? What about mum and dad arguing? What about domestic violence?
This is it.
What about cleanliness? What about just anything? You know, like not just your parenting. Well, not just your parenting, but just how the home environment is.
And that plays a big part.
And some children, the external might be a good factor.
A safe haven.
A safe haven, somewhere where, you know, at school they're happy, they're with friends, they're being taught there's love shown in a different way. You know, like people interpret love in it very differently. And where they haven't received that love at home, outside becomes, and it depends on what outside looks like in that environment.
Exactly.
So outside could look like gang, but outside can also look like
And that's
good
how they bring
school
them in.
and, you know.
That's it.
That's how they bring them
That's
in.
it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And it's something to kind of like bear in mind. That's why it's just mad.
Yeah.
It is mad. I think a child, for example, coming from quite a broken home or a home with issues, wouldn't really want to go home. That's the kind of child you're going to find when everyone's gone home finally, they're still hanging around. They're trying to avoid.
But then some children don't know. Like, that's just their norm. They're going home, like, mum and dad's fighting. Okay, you're walking past. Like,
And I think for kids,
but then I don't think they'll be looking for a void. I don't think they'll be looking for a solution if they don't think it's a problem.
Exactly.
No, but I don't think sometimes, you know, as you said, reasoning as a child, you're not thinking problem solutions. You're just thinking what you like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
being outside.
And
I like
it might,
being with friends.
exactly.
I like being at home.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
It's
I like-
very simple.
yeah.
That's where
Just
be.
Exactly.
But then that's how people grooming starts and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's a
Such
very
a thing.
scary thought.
And this
That
is the
when
thing.
you think about the external, so gangs and grooming and just all the negatives that come with being in a bad area, it's very scary. And it makes you want to bend over backwards 1,000 times over to make sure that your child is very, very, very aware of how much they are loved. I think as a general
The
foundation, you make your child know that they're loved. Fine, love won't carry you everywhere though, but it's a good foundation. It's a solid foundation to have. Building on that now, you let them have that sense of pride in who they are as an individual. Do you know what I'm saying? So you can stand firm and say, but actually I'm so and so and so. You're not gonna run me. Do you know what I'm saying? I know who I am.
I feel like these things are easier said than
They
actually
are,
done.
yeah.
Like,
But-
how do you know it's working?
But you don't know it's working. This is it. You do it. It's like insurance. You pay for it every month like a mumu until you actually need it. Do you know what I mean? And when you need it, you're calling them like, hello, they bagad my car. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's in the hope that when you do need it, or when it has to, when the test arrives, that they can say, actually, I am who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow your gang. And there's people that do it. We hear stories all the time. Yeah, there's of all the thousands of people that fall into gang crime or whatever, there's the few that can actually, it may mean that they're running from the ops on the regular, but they're running home because they don't want to get caught. And it's a sad reality. But actually, in them doing that, they're taking that stance and saying, I'm not going to follow, I'm not going to fall corruption into your corrupted life. It's not happening.
I also think though, so we have love, we have confidence.
Yes.
But I think as the parent, you need to be like the right example.
That's it.
Definitely.
Definitely. They'll mirror you. How you let, like, do you know what I mean? They'll just
how you treat people, how you allow yourself to be treated.
That's
exactly.
And that's as small as how you talk to someone when you go to the restaurant.
Or how you don't talk to someone, because some children will see that mum's too timid, I'm not going to be treated like that.
Yes.
So remember, it's how a child perceives things.
Yes.
It's not, and this is why you have to be, it's quite difficult being a parent, because the home that you create for that child, the environment you create from that child, with everything you do and don't do matters to that child, because of how they interpret it and what they decide to do with it. If you're someone that just thinks, I'm not confrontational, I don't like confrontation, I just try and walk away. This child might feel like, I need to be strong for my mum because the neighbour be bullying her. So I need to make sure that, I'm confident and I've got the things necessary or the character necessary to be able to take down anyone. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as black and white, because sometimes you think you're doing good and it can be seen. This is it. Interpretation is different, isn't it? Like two people read a book and what they get from it is different.
Two different. Yeah. And you never know. And this is why I feel like parenting is so hard, because you don't know what they're taking in. You don't know what it is that there's. It could be one thing you said to them like 5 years ago, and that's the one thing that sticks with them.
But this is
you
why
know what I'm
me,
saying?
I don't have any teenagers as yet, but for me, particularly around that stage, I'm going to be just talking to my child. Like when I say talking, not just necessarily asking you what happened, because you may not tell me. But I may give you this like random example. I probably made it up. Like, oh, you never guess what happened. So and so did so and so. Because my thing, I want to see what you think about the scenario. What you think, who should have done what. Because what you understand is you get into the child's mind and how they perceive things.
That's a really good
The
one.
secret is understanding your perception, so I can help. I can guide you. If I just keep saying this is good, this is bad, but I don't understand your reasoning, you may always deal with things differently to how I.
And that's,
do you know what I mean? So
that's
you have
basically
to be real. Like show them if this happened, what do you think you would have done? This and be real with those examples. Be real with. Do you know like things as simple as like your friends having a fight at school, are you gonna back the beef or you not? Like that's a conversation I'm gonna have with my kid. I want to know.
And that's a conversation
if you
I've had
actually
with
think,
Kiana. Facts.
Are you going to back it? Are you not? Why are you not going to? How are you going to get away with it? Because this is real life experiences that they have. They may be goody two shoes. They have only one best friend who's gonna come and beat them up. What do you do?
Yeah. Can I tell you, you're describing my child? I promise you. And this is a scenario that's actually happened. Like, her friend got into a fight. So she called me. She's like, oh, mom, like, fighting. I was like, what? So what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm here to make sure that she's okay and blah, blah. And I was like, what? Can you come home? Why are you standing there? But then actually I thought, you know what? Let me see how this plays out. Do you understand? Because although I don't want you out here fighting. You're not going to be one of those girls that are fighting in school but Kiana's very much a peacemaker. So she wants everybody to get along. Happy families, everybody needs to get along. So in her being there, she's like, okay, because she's friends with both of them. So she was really trying to do she's trying to do mediator. No. Come on. You would have heard about it a long time.
I was waiting for them to say, I drove up, I pulled up.
No. Not my picking, guys. Not my picking. But she knew both of them. So she's basically doing mediators like guys. So for me, at first I was like, what are you doing? Come home now. But actually, let me see how she deals with this situation. Now that once she told me the full story and I knew that she's in a situation whereby she's not going to be involved, she's not going to be hurt by this. Let me see how she deals with this. And Kiana makes sure that everybody's like, we're not fighting. It's not what we're doing, guy. She's that person.
So my question is, she called you, right?
She called me.
Is it because she just wanted to talk about the fight? Is it because she's running late from
She called me because
school, so she wanted to tell you
she called me because she calls me like there's nothing. Kiana will take one step and she will let me know, Mum, I've taken one step and this is what I'm doing now. Because that's how I brought her, because it's me and Kiana. So if you're doing something, Kiana, what are you doing? Like I will go to the shop, I'll call Kiana, I'm just going to the shop, because I want to instill in her that anything you do in this life, I'm
Check
walking
in,
with
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now, to the point where I'm a bit annoyed, like, oh gosh, because she will leave the house at 8 o'clock to go to school. By 8:05, she called me already. Oh, mom, I'm just waiting for the bus. There's a bit of traffic. Do you think I should get off and walk? I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, you can walk. Or what do you
That
think?
is amazing.
Gauge it. See how you want to
Yeah.
play it. Oh, mom, I've come to Tesco. They don't have the. But do you think I should get? And as much as it's a bit annoying because now she's getting older, I'm trying to loosen the grip. But actually, let's keep this line of communication open.
Yeah.
Anything that happens, like, call me.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that you can call.
100%.
Unless you're speaking to God. When you finish, call me.
And I think that's
Literally.
And you know, and on top of that,
Literally.
sorry, just to say,
Yeah.
on top of that, naturally, as teenagers, as you grow up, you do kind of like, there is a period where you kind of come away from your parents.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like having that as a basis, like a foundation, if when that time comes where they, you know, take a step back, as in, it's exercise of independence. Or exactly, they will always have
But I
that
do
connection,
think-
even while they're exercising that independence.
I think though that it depends on the kind of relationship you have with your child as to whether they pull away or not. Because there was kids in my school, in my secondary school, that her and her mum was, there's one particular girl, her and her mum were like best friends. Because, let me be honest, right, in the particularly African community, because I can speak for that because I'm from there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to call my mum and be like, Mum, my friends are having a fight, I'm just going to talk to them and, you know, try and
I
tell
never
them
did that day.
Yeah.
Why are you even still there?
Yeah. And that was my initial thought. That was my initial thought. That was literally
This
my
is it.
initial, because that's what I was brought up with. I
But
get
because
that.
you've kind of given this, you know, it's the relationship you have that she knows you're not gonna you're gonna reason it out from a perspective that you've been and grown up in these type of schools before.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's a bit of a gap with a lot of our parents where they didn't school here. Some of their realities are our realities, all the rest of it. So I think all of that plays a part. There's one girl, she was super close to her mum. Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think they ever had. There's nothing her mum didn't know about her. Like, there's just nothing. In some ways, some might say that it was a bit too lenient. But I think you have to understand your child, and I do think, like, I want my child to be able to call me and say, this is what's going on. Like, because the truth is, you may not be around the corner to quickly drive up. You may not be able to always save your kid, even if you can drive up. What if there's 10 boys and you're one kid? Do you know what I mean? It's not always that simple, but I think it's good to be able to know where my child was, what my child was doing, and my child will always tell me. It gives you that trust, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Between you and your kid.
Yes. And for me, that is very important. That trust element is important because I can look you in from when she was little. This girl can't lie for a damn thing.
That's like
Did you take the bread? No. Did you take the bread? Yes. Because you know your child, isn't it? And obviously lying is part of something. All children will lie at some point, consciously or subconsciously. Whether they know they're doing it or not, they will do it. But it's about whether or not you, like, obviously you tell them, this is the truth, this is the lie. You tell the truth all the time. It's very important. And obviously how you react when they lie will impact whether or not they continue doing it or not. Do you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, I feel like when a child tells the truth, you know that it's fine. Like, no one can tell you anything because you know your child. If you look them in the eye and say, what happened? And they tell you, and anybody else is something, it doesn't matter because that trust is there. I can send my child out into this world and she will come back and she can tell me a story and I'll believe her wholeheartedly. Maybe some people may say, you're setting yourself up for failure here, because if they know that you trust them, they can take it to take it for granted. But actually, this is my child. This is, I'm comfortable. She hasn't done anything. You know what they say, innocent until proven guilty. You haven't done anything to make me feel otherwise. So I'm going to give you that trust. And, take it and go with it as far as you can.
It's interesting you say that because there are some people who have split personalities. These are like young children.
This is
at
it.
home, they're one person.
Yeah, but
and
when they
outside,
leave,
they're a completely different person. And sometimes they don't slip up for you to catch it. Like, that's the truth. We keep saying, you'll see something. Some of them are
Your parents
pros.
didn't know what you were doing.
Some of
Our
them
parents
don't
didn't know what we were
but then
doing.
there was that generational gap. Our parents didn't grow up in the society that we've grown up in.
No.
So the things that we're learning firsthand. So I always said to Kiana, there's nothing
I was
you
there
can
before,
do.
I was there.
Anything you think you can do, I've done times 10. Try me, we'll go toe to toe. Like, it's fine. Like, so because we have this knowledge now, we're able to say, actually, that doesn't make sense. I know how this works. Whereas our parents couldn't say, I know how this works. No, you don't, because they didn't do that in Nigeria. You weren't brought up with the same things that we were brought up with here.
Yeah.
Time has changed, things have evolved. Do you know what I'm saying? So
But if
for
your
me,
kid-
that's my stance on it.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not sure.
I think that kind of just goes back to parenting.
The lying.
It falls back to you.
Yeah.
But there's external. I don't know if I think that's. I don't think you say that for everyone.
Why would if a child is lying just anyhow?
The child is not answering you. What if it's just
but then before then,
they're just not giving you.
But before then,
seek help.
But before then, when as they're babies, like. There's different, like you're saying, like it's what you instill in a child.
Yes, but let's be honest. There's children who.
So after instilling all of that,
they were fine. They were doing well. All of a sudden, there was a switch in primary school.
We'll sit down and
exactly,
discuss
and they're
this.
not telling you. No, and they're not. Guys, let's be real. There's situations like this.
Then we need to speak to someone.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That obviously, in the best case scenario,
because it's gonna get them in trouble.
They should be able to be brought up well and not really lie and all the rest of it. But I'm saying because there are scenarios where people just
some characters just not.
They just you have to be okay with just saying, do you know what? Like you have this issue, and you have to go and find help, whatever that looks like. Whoever you need to be able to accept that this is an issue that can then escalate into something deeper. Do you know what I mean? And therefore,
issues in the future.
Exactly, and therefore we need to try because sometimes. Some kids are just not going to speak. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it before, but like, there's kids.
There's kids with like depression. We can take it to the other side.
There's a lot going on.
Anxiety.
You may not know
so many
that.
other things that maybe if they're getting bullied, that may lead to also depression. This and that. So yeah, I think seeking help is nothing to be ashamed of.
I agree. But obviously, for the best, whatever you can do. Obviously, I think communicating is huge because 100%. It helps with so much. It's what you don't know that you can't help with, isn't it? So you have to teach your
communication starts from very young. It's not when they get to the age that you're gonna start talking.
Yeah.
You need to be talking from early. How was your school? How was nursery? Even when they can't talk, you ask them the same question.
Yeah.
Amara will come home and say, "How was school?" Or she'll have a good day, or she'll be like, "I had a good day at nursery," because you know she's preempting that I'm gonna ask the question.
But you know what? This is just an example from me. Sienna has been a child that every day I'm asking how was school. Good.
Okay.
This is the example.
This is what I mean.
But I just try and find other ways of trying to get her to talk. Oh, who did you play with today? What did you do? Or like sometimes I'm like, what did you eat today? She's like, I don't remember. Like. I try and find ways to kind of like get it out of her, but she's the type of child that how was school today?
Exactly. Not every kid is going to come in with a story, and it's not because they have something to hide.
Yeah.
Some kids don't. They just go and go into stories about it. Yeah. And we have to be real that not every child. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but then kids are very much like their parents in a way in terms of when I see Sienna do it, it's me. It's literally me. Like
it helps you to understand how to then navigate the situation because you know how you would have answered
exactly
it.
that.
Yeah,
exactly. That's quite interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because with Micaiah, I mean, he's 3, he's gonna be 4. I ask him every day without doubt, how was school? Who was at school today? I make him name all the children that were at school. What was she like? Was she good today? Just because I'm trying to get you thinking, because then maybe you forgot that they were bad at 10 a.m. because they had to at 6. So I always try and, do you know what I mean? How's this teacher? How's that? And I'm always asking. So he naturally, as soon as I pick him up, anything happens in school, Mummy, so hit me, like straight away, because he's used to, do you know what I mean? But like we've all been saying, not every kid's the same. Your oldest could be like that. Your youngest could be someone that just doesn't internalize it.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's a character from the parent or whatever else. So I don't know, sometimes I don't think we're always going to have the answers to everything, and I think we have to be real with that. If you haven't been to particular stages of parenting, you're not always going to have the answer. Do you know what I mean? But I think speaking to parents who do maybe have that experience, like do you know what I mean? When your kid's a teenager, you might say, okay, let me go speak to another teenage mum. Have you ever had this situation? Am I being too harsh? Because some people will now not allow you to go out, take your phone, stop you from this, and some children
doesn't work for some children.
It doesn't work. It makes it worse. Some kids will literally. They'll show you times 10 of what you thought was already 10.
Give you pepper.
They'll now say, hi, you thought we had 10, but just started at number 1. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
I guess it's important to bear in mind that, internal and external factors, they both influence how, everything influences how, an individual kind of grows.
Yeah.
But to remember that, every parent is doing their best.
Yeah.
No matter the circumstance, no matter the area you live in, you can only do what you can do.
Yeah,
you can only do your best, and
that's the truth.
But
even things like cousins, god brothers, god sisters, you have to show these children that there's more than just the children at school.
Yeah.
Because if all I see at school, let's say quote unquote, it was a bad school and 80% are terrible and 20% are great, I need to be able to see that it's actually normal outside for other people my age to be good. Do you know what I mean? I need to be able to see another reality.
So you being bad is like weird. Like, why are you doing that?
So your cousin will be like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you know what I mean? Someone can keep you in check. Because otherwise, that's your only reality. It's a small little bubble of school. I think you have to join communities and, do you know what I mean? Like, make friends of children of the same age so they would speak about stuff like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, they would be able to relate, oh no, your school, like my school, that doesn't run, or I would never have that. Maybe it'll give confidence to the child who wasn't quite confident.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think there's other ways of being intentional other than just, you know what I mean, being limited to where you live. You have to kind of pull on other resources, isn't it?
Yeah, so this has been a really interesting topic. We want to know your experiences, your thoughts on anything that we've discussed, anything that you feel like, oh yeah, actually, this happened, and you know, maybe this you could talk about this. Give us some ideas for topics. You know, we're very inclusive here. We're Mums and Melanin. See you again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye y'all.